y'all, welcome to the Big Bear Homestead. And today we're taking place in the Frugal Family Food Collab. They're doing a Thanksgiving marathon this week on all of the different things that you need to have a very successful, very tasty Thanksgiving meal and on a budget. Today I'm going to do a side dish, a vegetable side dish that in our family everybody has to have every year for every occasion, especially Thanksgiving. So today we're going to do green bean casserole. Okay, so we're going to make green bean casserole today. Now I don't know about in your household, but in my household, we have to have green bean casserole with every single fancy meal that we have, whether it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter. This is a staple at our house. Now, normally we cook it in the oven. Well, this week my oven decided to just putz out on me and it's not working right now. So this is kind of a blessing in disguise because I've learned how to make green bean casserole in a crock pot, and that frees up the space in your oven to do the other things like your turkey and your desserts, all the stuff that you can't really cook as well in a crock pot. I'm going to work on the crock pot recipe that Hope did earlier this week. I think she did turkey breast on like Monday, so I'm going to work on that one. But anyway, this recipe we're going to do in the crock pot. It's very simple. Almost all the ingredients you should have on hand. Green beans, butter, all of these things you really should have, except for maybe the crispy onions. But we keep those too on hand because of how often we eat this recipe. I got all of my stuff at Aldi, so it was fairly cheap to make, and you make quite a bit of it. And the really good thing about this is you put it in the crock pot, walk away for a couple hours, come back, and it should be good to go. So the first thing that we're going to do is add your liquids. You'll need 1 can. It's a 10.5 ounce can of the cream of mushroom. Some people use cream of chicken, cream of celery. If you don't have cream of mushroom on hand, you can use one of those as well. And then what you do is just go ahead and empty that into your crock pot. Okay. Now what I tend to do is this recipe also calls for milk. So I'll put the milk into the can to kind of swirl around the leftovers that's inside the can. And that you need a 1/2 cup. You can either use milk or heavy cream. We had heavy cream on hand, so that's what we're using. And you're just going to use a 1/2 cup. Get my nifty measuring cups out. I'm going to use 1/2 cup. And then like I said, I typically put this into the can and swirl it around. I used the wrong side of my spatula earlier. But anyway, you put this into your can, swirl it around a little bit. And then that typically gets a lot of your leftovers from the can out. Probably easier with milk than with cream because again, the cream is heavy cream. I just want to get as much of that out as you can. Okay. All right. And then the next part is a 1/2 cup of vegetable stock. I used chicken bouillon. All of this is kind of whatever you prefer. Some people actually use beef stock, but I had chicken on hand, so that's what I used. And go ahead and put that liquid in there as well. Then you're going to put in some minced garlic, and that's going to be 1 teaspoon. So you put 1 teaspoon of garlic in there. This is a 1/2, so we're going to do 2 of these. So that'll be 1 teaspoon of garlic. And then a 1/4 cup of butter. So that's 1/2 stick of butter. Went ahead and cut that out ahead of time. And that'll go in there. You also need a 1/4 cup of flour. I went ahead and pre-measured that. So you go ahead and put that in there. And then a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, which I think is over here. Okay. Oh, getting a little low. There you go. Teaspoon of Worcestershire. And then, very lastly, what you'll put in is your green beans and your can of onions. Okay. It takes 3 cans of the 14.5 ounce green beans. You'll go ahead and drain these, get all the liquid out of them, and just go ahead and put those in there. And then really all you're going to do is stir all of this up, and it'll be ready to kind of cook for the next couple of hours. Now with the onions, you're going to use half the can now and half the can to top later. Okay, so this was a 6 ounce can, so you use half the can now. So I'm going to add about half the can, and then we'll leave the other half for later. And then the last thing is, if you want to add salt and pepper, you can do that as well. I don't usually do that till the end, because sometimes we have people who don't want to have salt. Like sometimes my in-laws, they don't eat salt in their food. So we leave that for later so that people can season their stuff the way that they want to do it. Okay, so now that I have my hands washed and everything is stirred and ready to go, we're going to put the lid on and turn it on high for 2 to 2.5 hours. So this gives you plenty of time. You can start this and then start working on everything else that you need while your turkey's cooking. And so this is a perfect recipe to just set off to the side and leave it alone. So we'll be back in a couple of hours to see how this turns out. We'll put the onions on top at the end. We'll taste it and see how it is. Can't wait to see you in a moment. Okay, so it's been about 2.5 hours. Everything's ready to go. Now, one side note. I went back and looked at the recipe, and when you put everything in the crock pot, after you have everything mixed up, you need to go ahead and put the onions on the top before you start to cook it. So we went ahead and did that before we got too far into cooking, and now it's been about 2.5 hours, and everything's good to go. And basically all you do at this point is just, you can turn it on to keep warm, and it'll hold it there until you're ready for your meal. Let's go ahead and open it up and see how it turned out. Alright. It looks fantastic, and I bet it tastes just as good. Ooh, hot on the sides. Be careful. Okay, try it real quick. Might need a fork. It's really hot. You can see that it's hot. Hot, but very good. Could definitely use just a little bit of salt and pepper, but like I said before, we usually leave that out so that everybody can kind of season their meal according to what they like and what they don't like, or if there's any dietary needs. Some people can't eat salt, so we kind of leave it out for that reason. I wanted to thank Amanda from Fundamental Home and Tangi from Freedom Homestead for inviting us to be a part of this Frugal Family Food Collab for Thanksgiving. Really appreciate that. If you guys want any more information about Frugal Family Food, kind of, I guess, recipes and tips, there is a wonderful resource with Facebook. It's the Frugal Family Food. Try and say that like 5 times fast. On Facebook, you can look it up. Wonderful group, lots of members that are very active and giving all kinds of tips and recipes to stay on a budget, which is very helpful. You can check that out. Also, I'm going to have a link in the description down at the bottom for the entire playlist. They're putting it all together. This obviously is Thursday. It's the second to last day. But go back and check all of the stuff that happened Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I guarantee you'll be more than blessed with everything that everybody has as far as choices go. So from all of us here at the Big Bear Homestead, we thank you very much and have a nice day.